Let's be honest for a moment. There are conversations we think we're having about intimacy, and then there are the conversations we're actually avoiding. Because desire is vulnerable, wanting something deeply means risking rejection. And for a lot of men, saying what they truly crave in bed feels far scarier than pretending they don't have those desires at all. So many people walk into intimacy believing they need to do more, be better, try harder, perform stronger, as if connection were a stage, as if attraction were an audition. But real desire doesn't grow from performance. It grows from presence. Presence is the difference between being physically in the room and being energetically available. It's the difference between touching someone and letting them feel you're actually there with them. Because here's the quiet truth: you can execute every move perfectly and still feel disconnected. You can look flawless and still feel distant. And you can be imperfect, unpolished, completely yourself, and create an experience that feels unforgettable. Why? Because desire responds to awareness. When you're present, you're not rushing toward an outcome. You're not mentally grading yourself. You're not thinking, am I doing this right? You're feeling. You're noticing, you're responding. That alone changes everything. Think about the moments in your life when you felt truly desired. Not complimented, not praised, desired. It probably wasn't because someone impressed you with a flawless routine. It was because they were locked in. Their attention was on you. Their focus wasn't scattered. Their energy wasn't divided. You felt seen, and when someone feels seen, their nervous system relaxes. When they relax, they open. When they open, connection deepens. Presence creates safety, and safety is one of the most underrated foundations of passion. Because when a man feels safe, he stops guarding. He stops trying to control the moment. He stops overthinking his own performance. He starts feeling. That's where real desire lives, not in choreography, not in complexity, not in trying to be impressive. In responsiveness, presence looks like noticing his reactions, noticing his breath, noticing subtle shifts in his body language, noticing when something feels good and staying there instead of rushing ahead. It looks like allowing pauses, allowing slowness, allowing moments to stretch. It's the confidence to not fill every second with action. And paradoxically, that restraint feels incredibly sensual because it communicates something powerful. I'm not in a hurry to get somewhere. I'm here with you. That message alone is intoxicating. Presence also means being honest with your own experience. If something feels good, letting it show. If something doesn't, not forcing enthusiasm. Authenticity beats enthusiasm every single time. Why? Because enthusiasm can be acted, authenticity cannot. When you allow your real reactions to exist, you invite him to do the same. That mutual permission creates a feedback loop of desire. You respond to him, he responds to you, you both adjust. You both tune in. Now it's not a performance, it's a conversation, and conversations are dynamic, they're alive. They evolve. That's why presence feels exciting even after years together, because it's never exactly the same twice. Presence also removes pressure. When you stop treating intimacy like something you must get right, you reclaim your power. You're no longer chasing approval, you're participating. You're no longer asking, was I good enough? You're feeling, did I enjoy that? That shift alone makes you more magnetic. Because confidence doesn't come from being perfect, it comes from being anchored, anchored in your body, anchored in your sensations, anchored in your truth, and from that place, every touch feels more intentional. Every glance feels more loaded. Every small moment feels charged, not because it's flashy, but because it's real. Desire isn't born from trying to impress. Desire is born from two people meeting each other fully in the moment. And the more present you become, the less you need to perform. The less you perform, the more unforgettable you become. So many people believe confidence is something you earn, that one day you wake up, look in the mirror, and suddenly feel worthy of desire. But confidence doesn't arrive as a reward. It's a decision, a quiet internal decision that says, this body is allowed to feel good. This body is allowed to be wanted. This body is allowed to take up space in pleasure. Because here's the truth most people never hear. Men don't fall in love with perfection. They fall in love with comfort. Comfort in your own skin, comfort in your own reactions, comfort in your own enjoyment. There is something profoundly attractive about a woman who isn't apologizing for existing, not shrinking, not hiding, not constantly monitoring herself, but inhabiting her body like it belongs to her. Confidence isn't about thinking you're flawless. It's about no longer waiting to feel flawless before you allow yourself to enjoy being desired. And that shift changes everything. When you're comfortable in your body, you move differently, you breathe differently, you touch differently. You receive differently, not because you learned a technique, but because you're not tense. Tension blocks pleasure. Self-consciousness blocks pleasure, and when you block your own pleasure, you unintentionally block his experience too. Because desire is contagious, a man feels most turned on not by how you look, but by how much you're enjoying yourself. Your pleasure gives him permission to enjoy. Your openness tells him, you're allowed to be here with me. Your comfort says, I'm not judging this moment. Your ease says, we're safe. That's magnetic, not the absence of insecurities, not the presence of a perfect body, but the presence of self-acceptance. Confidence also shows up in how you allow yourself to receive. Many women are excellent at giving, at focusing outward, at worrying about whether the other person is satisfied. But true magnetism comes when you stop treating your pleasure as optional. When you let yourself lean into what feels good, when you don't rush past moments of enjoyment, when you don't minimize your own experience. This isn't selfish, it's collaborative, because intimacy isn't a service you provide, it's an experience you share. And when you value your own pleasure, you communicate something powerful. I believe I'm worthy of feeling good with you. That belief lands deeply. It tells him you see yourself as someone desirable, and people tend to agree with how you see yourself. Confidence in your body also isn't loud. It doesn't need to announce itself. It's in small things. The way you don't flinch when he looks at you. The way you don't rush to cover yourself. The way you allow yourself to be seen. Seen in real light. Seen in real moments. Seen as you are. That level of acceptance feels intimate long before anything physical happens. Because it creates emotional nakedness first, and emotional nakedness is often more arousing than physical nakedness. Here's the beautiful paradox: the more you make peace with your imperfections, the less anyone else seems to notice them. Not because they disappear, but because your energy stops pointing to them. Your presence says, there is nothing to fix here. And that confidence becomes the most seductive thing about you. Not your body shape, not your measurements, not your comparison to anyone else. Your relationship with yourself. When you treat your body like an ally instead of an enemy, when you treat your pleasure like a right instead of a bonus, when you stop waiting for permission to enjoy intimacy, you become radiant. Not in a performative way, not in a forced way, in a grounded, calm, undeniable way, and that kind of confidence doesn't shout. It draws people closer, because nothing is more magnetic than someone who is at home within themselves. One of the biggest misconceptions about attraction is that men are purely physical creatures, that all they want is a body to look at, hands to hold, or a performance to witness. But the truth is far deeper, far more nuanced. What men secretly crave in intimacy isn't just what happens with your body, it's emotional permission. Emotional permission is the subtle, invisible permission that tells a man it's safe to want, to feel, and to express desire without shame. Most men have been conditioned to believe that their fantasies, their urges, their moments of vulnerability are somehow embarrassing or wrong. From a young age, they're taught to be in control, to be stoic, to man up. And while that teaches them strength, it also creates an unspoken tension in relationships. The desire to fully express themselves collides with the fear of judgment. This is where you step in, not as a performer, not as someone trying to manipulate, but as a partner who gives him silent consent to be himself. When a man senses that he doesn't have to hide his desires, that he doesn't have to censor his curiosity or his needs, something shifts instantly. The tension that comes from holding back melts away, replaced by connection, relaxation, and excitement. Giving emotional permission isn't about verbalizing every fantasy. It's about the subtle signals you send. It's in the way you respond to his touch, in the absence of judgment when he shares a thought or a wish. It's in the energy you create that says, "This is okay, you can want, you can feel, you can explore." That energy is magnetic because it reassures him that his desire isn't a liability, that it's not something to be hidden or repressed. It's welcomed. Most women underestimate how powerful this is. They focus on technique, on words, on performance. And while those things have their place, the emotional container, the sense of safety you provide, is far more intoxicating. A man can sense it almost immediately. When he knows he can drop his guard, he relaxes, and when he relaxes, he doesn't just perform better, he connects deeper. Emotional permission also has a profound effect on intimacy itself. It transforms the bedroom from a place of tension, expectation, and silent judgment into a space of playfulness, curiosity, and shared exploration. The moment a man feels free to express himself, the act of intimacy becomes less about impressing or doing it right, and more about mutual enjoyment. The energy between you flows naturally because it's rooted in authenticity rather than obligation. And here's the thing, this isn't just about physical intimacy. Emotional permission seeps into every interaction. When you make a man feel safe to express desire, you also make him feel safe to share vulnerability, to reveal deeper aspects of himself, to invest emotionally. Men who feel emotionally accepted are more likely to be attentive, generous, and invested. They are more present. They are more connected. They are more willing to meet you where you are. Giving emotional permission doesn't mean you tolerate everything or that you ignore boundaries. It's not about becoming passive or letting someone take control. It's about creating a space where desire can exist without fear. It's about giving him the freedom to show up fully, just as you give yourself the freedom to do the same. The paradox is simple but profound. When a man feels he doesn't have to hide, he wants more. He wants to explore more. He wants to be closer, not just physically but emotionally. And all of this starts with the silent, unspoken permission that says, you are allowed to want, you are allowed to feel, you are allowed to be fully you, and I welcome it. That is the secret men rarely say out loud. They don't want commands, tips, or lessons. They want safety, acceptance, and the freedom to express desire. And when they find it, attraction, connection, and passion ignite in ways that technique alone could never create. One of the biggest misconceptions about intimacy is that it's about doing the right things, mastering moves, following techniques, or performing perfectly. But the truth is that the most powerful attraction doesn't come from imitation or strategy. It comes from authenticity. Being real, being present, and being unapologetically yourself is magnetic in ways no act or performance ever could be. Authenticity is a word that gets thrown around a lot, but in intimacy it has a very specific meaning. It's about showing up as you are, with your desires, your quirks, your boundaries, and your vulnerabilities. It's not about pretending to be a certain way to please someone else or acting like someone you think they want. It's about allowing your genuine energy to lead the interaction. Men, like everyone else, have a deep, instinctive radar for authenticity. They can feel it immediately when someone is faking, performing, or overthinking. And when they sense that, attraction wanes, no matter how polished or skilled the performance may be. On the other hand, when a woman is fully herself, when she owns her reactions, her pleasure, and her presence, the effect is electric. There's a confidence in that kind of honesty that no technique can replicate. Authenticity in intimacy also creates freedom. When you're not worried about getting it right, you allow space for exploration, curiosity, and playfulness. You stop overthinking every action and start noticing what actually feels good. That freedom is contagious. It invites him to do the same. It removes the pressure that often kills desire and replaces it with connection, experimentation, and shared enjoyment. It's important to understand that authenticity doesn't mean doing whatever you want without care or consideration. It's not about selfishness. True authenticity balances honesty with attentiveness. It's about expressing what you enjoy, asking for what you need, and also noticing and responding to the other person's energy. It's a dialogue, not a monologue, but when both people are authentic, that dialogue becomes electric. Many women make the mistake of thinking authenticity is risky. They fear that showing desire, expressing pleasure, or being honest about boundaries will push someone away. But the opposite is true. Authenticity invites trust. It communicates, I know who I am, and I'm not afraid to show it. That kind of confidence is irresistible because it signals emotional maturity and stability. It reassures him that he doesn't have to guess or manipulate. You are clear, present, and genuine. There's another layer to authenticity that is especially powerful: vulnerability. Being authentic doesn't mean being invulnerable. In fact, allowing yourself to be vulnerable, showing excitement, curiosity, or even uncertainty creates an intimate bond. Vulnerability signals safety. It signals that you trust him enough to be seen fully. And when a man feels trusted, he responds in kind, lowering his own guard and opening more fully to connection and desire. Authenticity also cuts through the noise of comparison. In a world obsessed with standards, techniques, and how-tos, being yourself is a radical act. It allows the interaction to exist on your terms, not according to someone else's expectations. That self-assured energy is inherently attractive because it radiates calm confidence and presence. It communicates, I am enough, just as I am. When both partners bring authenticity to intimacy, something almost magical happens. Desire shifts from obligation to curiosity. Attraction deepens from superficiality to connection. Pleasure becomes shared, expansive, and alive. You stop performing and you start creating. The lesson here is simple but profound. The most powerful experiences of desire and intimacy are never born from imitation or acting. They are born from authenticity. They are born from showing up fully, being seen fully, and giving permission for the other person to do the same. When you embrace that, you unlock a level of connection, trust, and passion that no technique alone could ever produce. Authenticity is not just a tool, it's the foundation. It is the magnet that draws people in, the glue that deepens connection, and the fire that keeps desire alive. And once you lean into it, you realize that the most intoxicating thing you can offer isn't what you do, it's who you are. One of the most overlooked truths about attraction is that nothing is more powerful than creating a sense of choice in intimacy. Men, like everyone else, crave the feeling of being wanted, not needed. There's a subtle but profound difference between the two, and understanding it changes the dynamics of desire entirely. When a man feels needed, it triggers responsibility, obligation, and pressure. When he feels chosen, it sparks excitement, pride, and connection. Being chosen is about making him feel that his attention, his energy, and his desire are valued, but without making him the center of your world. It's the quiet, magnetic energy that says, "I enjoy you, I want you, and I choose to be here with you." That choice is voluntary, alive, and present, and it communicates a level of respect for both his autonomy and your own. It's not manipulation. It's not a game. It's about creating a dynamic where desire flows naturally because it is freely given, not demanded. Many women unknowingly undermine this energy by leaning too heavily into emotional dependence or trying to secure his affection. When you signal that your happiness relies entirely on him, desire shifts from attraction to responsibility. Men often feel pressured to perform, to prove themselves, or to meet unspoken expectations. That pressure kills spontaneity, curiosity, and excitement, the very things that make intimacy magnetic. But when you operate from the energy of choice, you flip that dynamic completely. You stop asking, "Do you want me?" and start conveying, "I am here with you because I want to be." That subtle shift transforms the way a man experiences intimacy. He doesn't just feel desired, he feels appreciated, respected, and seen. And when a man feels seen in this way, his attraction grows effortlessly. Being chosen also means maintaining a sense of self outside of the relationship or the moment. It means having your own passions, interests, and life momentum, and allowing him to intersect with that life rather than trying to define it. When a woman carries herself with purpose, confidence, and individuality, it creates a natural tension that sparks intrigue. It signals that you are not desperate or reliant, which paradoxically makes him want to be part of your world even more. This principle applies to every layer of intimacy, from playful flirting to physical connection. For example, when you let him take the lead and respond to his advances with genuine interest rather than obligation, you reinforce that he is chosen. Your engagement becomes a reward, not a guarantee. That energy is intoxicating because it mirrors the natural dynamics of desire. Humans are wired to seek what feels freely given and authentically wanted. Creating a sense of being chosen also requires boundaries. Saying yes when you truly want to and no when you don't reinforces your autonomy and amplifies his perception of your value. Boundaries are not barriers, they are a demonstration that you are anchored in yourself and that your attention and energy are not commodities to be taken for granted. This clarity fosters respect, and respect fosters deeper intimacy. When a man experiences the feeling of being chosen, he doesn't feel trapped or obligated. He feels proud, protective, and motivated to engage more deeply. Desire shifts from being transactional to being celebratory. Every interaction becomes a shared experience of mutual wanting rather than a performance designed to satisfy external expectations. The subtle genius of this principle is that it works naturally with the flow of attraction. You don't have to orchestrate it or script it. You simply lean into your own value, honor your needs, and allow desire to emerge organically from mutual respect and genuine interest. Being chosen feels like a gift, not a chore. It's the emotional and psychological spark that turns ordinary encounters into unforgettable connections. Ultimately, the energy of being chosen is magnetic because it aligns with a fundamental truth about human desire. People crave freedom and agency. They want to be wanted, not needed. They want to be appreciated, not obligated. When you cultivate this energy, intimacy becomes more playful, passionate, and sustainable. It allows desire to thrive without manipulation, pressure, or performance. When a man feels chosen, he experiences the rare joy of connection without constraint. And that, more than anything else, is the secret to deep, lasting attraction. An attraction that isn't dependent on tricks, timing, or technique, but on the simple, undeniable truth that he is wanted freely and fully by someone who knows her own value.